Well, good morning, my friends. Today is going to be a fun vlog because today we are at ROCKHAVEN Sanitarium. This is a closed sanitarium, but this is a unique sanitarium all on its own. This was actually called the Sanitarium to the Stars at one point because at one point Frances Farmer was here, Billie Burke was here, Marilyn Monroe's mother was here. I mean, it was a different kind of place because it was started by a woman named Agnes Richards who had actually ran sanitariums or worked at sanitariums in Iowa and Nebraska and had seen all these atrocities. So what she wanted to do is she came out here. This is actually a town called Montrose that I've never been in, a little outside of Los Angeles. And what she decided to do was make basically a restful, peaceful place. There were no padded walls, there were no jail cell doors. This was a cottage-like environment that the people that were here basically could just settle their nerves, relax, and they could basically just kind of unwind. And really the only requirements for being here, the only things that you had to do, you had to dress every day and you had to show up to all 3 meals at dinner with everybody. But other than that, there were arts and crafts, there were all kinds of things to do here just to get your bearings back. Now, Billie Burke was also here, and Billie Burke was Glenda the Good Witch, but she was also Florence Ziegfeld's wife. She lived here for a while. Like I mentioned, Marilyn Monroe's mother was here for a while. The history here is pretty unbelievable. And then the last person that I know of that was here that's really fascinating to me was Josephine Dillon. Josephine Dillon was actually Clark Gable's very first wife. She was an acting teacher that he met when he was working in Portland, doing like kind of oil field jobs and things like that. She saw his charisma, decided to take him under her wing and teach him acting, and they got married. Now, he always said this was more of a financial agreement, but she always claimed that it wasn't, and he did eventually divorce her. He was married 3 or 4 times. I think it was actually 4 times, maybe 5 times. And but to his credit, he was always very, very grateful to Josephine Dillon, and in his will left her the house that she was living in. So we're gonna go take a tour of ROCKHAVEN today, and it's pretty well set up the way it was when it was shut down. This place was here for many years, and I can't wait to see what's inside. Let's go. Alright, well, they said that the inside of this is kind of like a little museum to the way it was actually set up when it was running. This is going to be really interesting. I mean, really interesting to think of this kind of peaceful sanitarium, kind of a, I don't want to say a relaxing resort because it wasn't that, but to think Marilyn Monroe's mother was here, Clark Gable's first wife. Now we're actually all going to take a tour together. This is kind of a public day that they invited people out, and they're going to have a little bit of a talk and everything in here. But this was actually one of those places that they actually did use the kind of the electroshock idea, but it was voluntarily. So, like I said, this was more of a peaceful, kind of a relaxing retreat for your nerves. Thought I would come over here and show you this little stone. This would have been a fountain or a little like kind of little pond, you can tell because there's a little walking bridge right there and there's some stone seating out here. But I actually want to go out to the front because I want to get some footage of that gate that I just showed you the old picture of. That gate and everything is still there. So this is actually where we entered, right here. And then I wanted to show you guys this gate. And it's definitely, it's not that far from Los Angeles. I mean, not that far outside, but it's outside enough. So obviously, I mean, you also have to consider the fact that if Marilyn Monroe's mother was here, Marilyn Monroe had come here and visited her at some time. Very likely. Alright, this is the main admittance house right here in front of us, and we're going to go over here and get ready for the little talk. And then look at this right here on the tree. It says, "The kiss of the sun for pardon, the song of the bird for mirth. We are nearer to God in a garden than anywhere else on earth." And then as I understand it, a lot of these rooms are still furnished. They still have clothing in them. They still have it very well set up the way it was when people were here. And then look at this little moat. This is a really nice place. I mean, it's very well set up. It's very... I can't wait to see inside this whole place. Here's that little moat I was telling you about. It just almost feels weird to even say a peaceful sanitarium, because everything that you've kind of come to know and everything that I've read about old Hollywood history, the sanitariums just sounded like a place that they locked you away and forgot about you.
Now, welcome to a place of rest and rehabilitation for women suffering from overwork and exhaustion. She is going to create a place that's different, where the women are active, they get outside, they're going to recover. They're not just going to get locked away. What was it like for women back then? Well, local story from Lincoln Park, a lady who was a working mom, and her son always walked himself home after school. One day she gets home and he's not there. So there's a big search for him, gets all kinds of press attention. And one day, a boy shows up at the police station and says that he's her son. So they call her in, call a big press conference and say, "I have solved this case." And she says, "That's not my son." And he says, "Yes, it is. I have solved this case." She says, "No, really, you really don't think that's my son?" He says, "Look, a lot of trauma can change you, it can change the kid. Take him home, try him out, you'll see." Well, she takes him home. It's not her son. And she goes to the chief of police in Los Angeles and says, "No, really, this is not my son." He says, "You're crazy. You're an unfit mother," and sends her off to LA County Hospital.
Oh, was that a movie that was made after that?
Yes.
Yeah, I saw that movie.
Yeah, good old Angelina Jolie. Now, the one thing though is that says that she got out because of the gentleman that she was working with, and that's not true. The only reason she was released is because the boy revealed that no, he was not her son. He just wanted a free trip to Hollywood to meet Tom Mix.
Oh my goodness.
She, inside of a year, has 24 women. So she begins purchasing houses that are already around the property, starting with the Rose Cottage. Now, it was actually facing Pleasure Way, but as my friend says, that was not ideal. So Agnes had it lifted up and turned around to face this way, and she's going to start forming upon it. There are walkways that connect easily to the other buildings, to gathering areas where the women are going to get outside. This fabulous little place back here with the little fountain that used to have the little fishing gnome and little castles and all that cool stuff. The remarkable faux bois furniture. She, I believe, Patricia Travis, was ahead of her time. She knew that if you kept people occupied in the here and now, then they were less likely to go back in their minds and become confused. So she had occupational therapy, nutrition classes, gardening classes. There's a picture of the ladies here doing a bell choir. That's complicated, and they've got these ladies able to do a bell choir, wonderful things. They would do crafts. They would do so many crafts. They would sell the crafts, use the money to buy more materials, make more crafts. Fabulous craft room over here designed just for that sort of thing. So as you go into what was once the garage for the Rose Cottage and then became the Acorn, which at first I was told was a place for a nurse to be able to live so that she could look after the ladies that were staying in the Elms or in the Rose Cottage. But it turns out there was a time that a single patient was there. Resident, excuse me, they were never called patients. They were the ladies or the residents. And it turns out that she was very antisocial and didn't like to shower. So I have a feeling that people were okay with her being antisocial. But you are welcome to go in, open up the cabinets, take a look around, make sure you look at the ceiling. And if it gets too crowded in there, they're now opening up the Rose Cottage. The interesting thing about this place is that since it was in operation such a long time, it's not completely modernized, but it's not really contemporary, but that's decorated in the 1980s, and there's items left over from women who were alive in the 20s, so it gets a little incongruous, but a lot of fun.
Feel free to touch anything, pick up anything. Thank you. Everything here was left by somebody who had stayed here. Okay.
this lady.
So everything that's left here was left by somebody who stayed here. And this is actually wallpapered all the way over the ceiling. And then this was the view out the bathroom window.
No, it's good.
But you can sell that bed for...
All right, let's go on in. Yeah, it does kind of feel more like a motel than it does a sanitarium. And here's the bathroom. Yikes. Now what they were saying was the reason they can do this tour is that the city will give them 2 days a month that this facility can be open. One is for cleaning days and the other is only if they have a group booked. So the lady that's working it said that actually a paranormal group is going to be taking over this place in a few hours, and that's the reason we get to tour it here today. Oh wow. Look at the ceiling all the way through. All the way across the ceiling. Wow. They said we can open anything we want, so I'm gonna. I don't know why, but this room smells like Play-Doh. So if Clark Gable's first and fourth wife lived here, then I think the fourth wife was... man, I have to think about this one. I can't remember. I think it was Lady Ashley. I forget. The first one was Josephine Dillon. The second one was an elder than him. And I think the third was Carol. So maybe the fourth was Kay. No, I don't think so. I think he was married 5 times. The grounds here are generally not open to the public. They are private grounds owned by the city, but like I said, as long as they can get a group in here, they'll allow them to use it once a month. And it's all volunteer ran.
Obviously the ladies that stayed here were treated as remarkably well. Even as things changed and later on when it became more about Alzheimer's and dementia and aging issues, they were always very well dressed, always outside, seeing some amazing pictures of how the ladies were always cared for. Sometimes they were able to go to Descanso or to the park, go shopping, go out to lunch, depending on their abilities. And just, I don't know, just amazing to me to find out the sorts of things that went on behind those gates. And you can see that there's, there's little plaques, the little mushrooms, the little stepping stone. Over here, this is not a plaque to a nurse who worked here. It's a nurse who stayed here. And her husband was so touched by the care that she received that he dedicated this poor little plant. We need to get something else in there. And the plaque. And every year he would donate a turkey to the Thanksgiving dinner. And it amused Patricia that you've got 80 women here and they're donating 1 turkey. But hey, it's 1 more turkey than you had before. Over the years, they've also begun to lift up with the roots. So as we walk around, please be careful where. Important piece of history as well as art that we have here. We learned that Agnes's brother Max worked down at the Gladding McBean factory in Tropical, what is now a Costco. And we have admired this statue over here. Somebody found out that she is a Gladding McBean from the 1920s, terracotta. She was then painted to look like marble, which then trapped the moisture and she busted. So we had her stabilized. She's not going anywhere now. She is a perfect representation of Rockhaven. She is naked and basking in the sunlight and drinking it in and relaxing and kind of beat up, very much like Rockhaven is today. Little posts for the banners. And I mentioned that to Patricia. I said, you know, that wasn't for anybody out on the street. That was something she decorated for the ladies. She said it also worked to help them know what time of year it was.
It doesn't feel like you're in an institution.
Yeah. Different therapies were done here, hydrotherapy and massage therapy and electroshock therapy. And one of the wonderful things about being able to lead these tours is I am meeting all kinds of remarkable people. And one lady who was a nurse said that electroshock therapy is still done and done properly. It makes a remarkable difference. She said you'll have people that you hand them a pile of towels and they're flinging the towels everywhere. You give them the therapy, they're able to be calm, fold them, put them away. But you can also watch as it wears off and they start to fling the towels again. I just find that amazing. And one of the nurses would say, yeah, the doctor would show up, I'd help him wheel his cart, he'd do the therapy, and off they would go. So it's kind of amazing the things that went on through here. There was actually a 11-year-old girl who was here who contacted me that when she was 11, she was sent here for electroshock therapy for a couple of weeks, for about a month. And I had no idea. Even Patricia actually had no idea. She was taking her brother down to Mexico at the time and didn't know that that young lady was here. And amazing. She said she was scared, but boy, probably a lot less scared here being able to stay in house than having to stay at one of those spooky hospitals. Gable's wives and one of his wife's sisters.
Oh, okay. I thought on the website it said two of his wives.
It was Josephine. It was just Josephine was here.
The first one.
Yeah.
And then Lady Ashley's sister, I can't remember her name. I want to say
It says
Virginia.
a wife.
All right. Oh, wow, this is beautiful. Hard to believe this is a sanitarium, honestly. So the lady giving the tour actually said that she has met the nurse that took care of Billie Burke, who played Glinda the Good Witch and was Flo Ziegfeld's wife. She's going to tell us some stories about that a little bit later. Wow. This still feels more like a hotel. Big ups to Agnes. Making it feel cozy.
My favorite sign in all of ROCKHAVEN is
Oh, wow. Clear liquid diet. Nope, nothing in there. Another bathroom. There's the doorway to go outside. Little sitting room in here. Oh, there's another one of those things. With the rosary.
It's all dark. Nice. Well, that was.
All right, let's go to the cottage next door. Let's go to this one over here.
Oh, there you are.
Oh wow, old school chairs. I did hear her say that some of the bathrooms and things like that have original tiling from the 30s. This was actually opened in 1926, but how to make a call. Little pull-out bed. If you were curious, this property is actually 3.5 acres. And she's gonna show us where Marilyn Monroe's mother's room was. So that's still coming up.
And this is it. This is not only the last one, but it's fully intact. So we're working hard to keep the place together until something beautiful can happen with it, with the plans that we have that we're working on right now. So if you know anybody that needs a $3 million tax donation, GoFundMe/Open Rockhaven, I believe that's what it's called. Thank you very much. Bird bath over there, places where people would come and they would play bridge with the ladies. Ladies from the local high school said they'd come and volunteer and they'd do the ladies' nails. They'd play ball with them with a beach ball to keep them active, and little gathering areas people could come and visit. The tiles that they put into these buildings are so beautiful. And you can see that our current caretakers, the gentleman is a gardener with the Parks Department, and his wife stays here and loves to garden. And so remarkable things have begun over here and are expanding out, and we just appreciate them so much.